All right, guys, massive video. In this video, I'm going to tell you who's going to make it to the Super Bowl, who's going to win this championship weekend. Is it the Chiefs and the Bills? Is it Washington or is it the Eagles? Who is going to make it? The truth on who's actually going to make it. Yes, I'm baking in the fact that the refs could get involved. This is a major video. It's the only channel telling you the truth and how it actually is. Now, a lot of people say, well, you know, Buffalo's the better team. Is Josh Allen's here? Maybe, but I'm going to tell you guys the truth. So if you love the truth of sports, if you love actual winning fantasy football advice, and just general talk about sports that you're passionate about, smash it, tap it, slap it, hit the thumbs up, hit subscribe, turn on that bell. It's very important you turn on that bell. You don't want to miss other videos like this. I'm going to be doing this again. I've got Brian Toohey, author of The Fix Is In, on the show coming in about a week or so. Guys, I'm super excited to talk about this with you. Sports, truth to sports, and give you guys Super Bowl predictions like I'm going to do right now. So anything truth is right here, okay? And drop a comment below. I really want to make this ultra interactive. Drop it below. Who do you think is going to win who's going to make it to the Super Bowl? Who's going to win this weekend and win the Super Bowl? Love to get your feedback. Okay. So let's break it down here for you. Again, drop a comment below. I want to talk first and foremost about the Eagles game. I also want to talk about, the Chiefs game, but we're going to save the Chiefs to the end here. And I'm telling you, the results here may shock you on why I've come up with this prediction and why these teams are going to win. I want to keep this short and concise, okay? First of all, Washington, the Eagles. Eagles are the 6-point favorite. I'm going to take here the Eagles. I'll tell you why. Now, Washington could cover this, but the Eagles are clearly the better team. They've been the better team all season. Now, you can say, well, Washington's pretty good as well, but you got to take a look at star power. You got to take a look at the final stage. The final stage is the Super Bowl. It's one of the most watched events in North America, okay? They want the best of the best. Do I want to tune in to watch Washington, who suck? The only person I want to see is Jaden Daniels, but he's still young. He's still developing. He's still a great player, but he's not enough of a draw. He's not an actual draw to bring in millions of people and say, hey, I got to tune into this because I'm watching the Commanders. Okay, now there is this whole narrative going on that, well, the Chiefs and the Commanders can make it, and it's like Commander and Chief, that whole narrative. I just don't believe it. I believe the way that Saquon has been playing, we're talking record-breaking numbers, man, like 2,000 yards, rushing yards per season. He could have broke the Eric Dickerson's record, but they sat him, which was really weak. That's a whole other topic. But 2,000 plus rushing yards. There's only 9 running backs that have done that. Jalen Hurts, he's a superstar. He's pretty much built up to be the face of the NFL as well. Eagles crowd, very rowdy, very noisy. They, those guys make a lot of noise, so they get a lot of media attention, okay? So you've got that whole spin there as well. But, the Eagles are just a better franchise. I don't want to say better. I'd say more of a draw. That's how I want to put it, okay? Washington, again, is still developing. Who do you want to see? Do you want to see Terry McLaurin or do you want to see A.J. Brown? A.J. Brown, more star power, just a better player. Who do you want to see? Like, who's their running back? Austin Eckler, or do you want to see Saquon Barkley? I want to see Saquon Barkley, okay? More seats are going to be sold if the Eagles win, and that's why they're favored, right? They're favored because they're going to win. And if you want the Eagles straight up, it's not going to pay much, okay? It's just not going to pay as much as Washington will. And I believe the Eagles are going to win for the reasons I stated. That's pretty much cut and dry. Now, there's a lot. Let's get to the Chiefs and the Bills game. And again, my results, it's going to blow your mind. Well, some people that are aware of this will be like, that's to be expected. But other people, it's actually going to blow their mind because they'll be like, oh, man, that makes sense, okay? So before I get to the result here, and again, this is going to be an interesting one, make sure you guys head over to mybookie.ag. You want to use the code FFC. They'll give you a 50% match deposit so you can get in on the action on these games and make the game that much more fun. That's the site I use, mybookie.ag. The code you want to use, FFC. Go create an account right now. Put down a deposit. It's a 50% match deposit. And again, it's going to really enhance your game watching experience. And I'm kind of giving you the winners here. But again, these are my opinions. You take it take it how you will. But again, that's the site I play on, mybookie.ag. The code is FFC. Go have some fun on the site. That's the site I use, okay? So let's talk about it. Who's going to win? Is it going to be KC or is it going to be the Bills? So I did some data diving here on this just to give you guys some quick facts before I get into this. The Chiefs won some games with the skin of their teeth. Week 12, they beat Carolina. Wow, Carolina sucked. 30 to 27. That was a close game. We're talking Carolina. Well, maybe it's a coincidence. They just had a bad game. They barely beat Vegas. Vegas sucked. Week 13. They beat them 19 to 17. Go back and look at this. And I'm like, okay, well, yeah, they barely beat Vegas. Maybe they just had another bad game. Well, check this out. Week 14, KC was the Chargers were a good team, but they beat the Chargers 19 to 17. So only by 2 points. Again, barely getting by. And just so you know this, week 11, they played Buffalo in Buffalo, and lost 30-21. Buffalo beat them, okay? Just to give you guys some context. Now, I will tell you this before I get into what I'm about to say here. KC is 17th in total yards. Buffalo is 11th, okay? KC is 15th in passing. Buffalo is 9th. This is on the season, okay? KC was 23rd. So we're talking in all of these metrics, they're on the bottom half statistically. Rushing yards, 23rd in overall rushing yards compared to 9th by the Bills. So the Bills were top 10 in pretty much all three categories, 9th in rushing, 9th in passing, and 11th in total yards. Buffalo, okay? And KC was on the bottom half on all of these metrics. So this isn't just Joe pulling this out of his, you know what? I'm actually giving you statistical facts. So we know that KC barely got wins in, right? They barely got wins. And number two, just on a statistical level, just weren't that good. The team is not that good this year, okay? They're not. They don't even have a star wide receiver. Xavier Worthy, like, whatever. They got Kelsey, but he's kind of been on a downwards trend, right? So why are the Chiefs? So that's my prediction. The Chiefs are going to win, but you got to understand why. Because that's where the money is. That's where the fix is in. Taylor Swift is bringing in a lot of people. I talked about this in my last video. The Texans game, one of the most watched, if not the most watched, I think it was, playoff game of all time. So we've got that, right? We've got people tuning in to watch Taylor Swift because of these Swifties. Number two, Kelsey, they built him up. They built up this narrative around Travis Kelsey to be this some sort of like football god. It's overrated. And Jason Kelsey, who's on the he used to play on the Eagles. So now we've got this whole thing with Kelsey being in the booth or whatever, commenting and saying, hey, is it going to be Kelsey? Is he going to cheer for the Chiefs? Is he going to cheer for the Eagles? What's going on there? So they got the whole Kelsey narrative. They got the whole Taylor Swift narrative. They've got a bunch of things going for them. Not only that, we've seen in games, multiple games, we saw it with the Texans game where the roughing the passer calls were ridiculous. They should have not been called against the Texans, but they were. And we saw it throughout the season where, again, we saw they're barely getting by in these matches and because the refs help, okay? Now, this is going to be an interesting match because the Bills are so much more of a better team, so the refs really got to get involved. So if the Chiefs have to win, which I believe they will to make it to the Super Bowl, it's got to be blatantly obvious. It's already blatantly obvious that it was with the Texans. It's got to be more obvious because you got to imagine that the Bills are really going to be pushing them on the offensive side of the ball, and it's going to be an obvious. That's why you got to watch it closely, but it's going to be right in our face. So once you see this happen, and I believe, again, my prediction is going to be the Chiefs versus the Eagles, just because I think it's going to be more of a draw. And also the three-peat narrative. This is very, very important. No team has done it. Now, some people in my last video said, well, the Packers did. No, they didn't because the Super Bowl era started in 66 and 67 and on, but I think they won it in 65 as well, which didn't count. So technically, there hasn't been a team that has a three-peat. And the Chiefs are so close. And the NFL has done so much in regards to building these guys up, rigging games, getting the refs involved. They've come so far. They didn't come this far to come only this far. So they're going to win. Another thing, I already gave you guys all of these statistical stats. So now the Chiefs are 2-point favorites. So shouldn't the Bills, based on just being an overall better team, be the favorite in this, just like the Eagles are with the Commanders? No, they're not, because the Chiefs are going to win. If you bet on the Chiefs straight up, it's just not going to pay as much as if you were to bet on the Bills straight up. Does that make sense? And the spread is so narrow that you can't even really make a lot if you bet them to cover, because I still think that the Chiefs could cover. And again, the refs got to do enough. They can't keep this close. They got to make sure the Chiefs get in. So they kept that spread really tight. So it's really hard to even get the Bills to cover. And again, they're going to look to keep it tight. The Bills are. But again, I just think the refs pull through the three-peat narrative, the Taylor Swift narrative. There's just so much going on in the favor of the Chiefs. They should just not be in the position that they are, and they somehow are. And again, a big part of that is the fix is in. So I'm actually getting Brian Toohey on, I believe, this upcoming week. Again, we're going to see the results of these games, and me and Brian are going to talk about this. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm completely crazy and out of my mind, and it's a Commanders and Bills Super Bowl. But again, either way, people are going to watch. But I think it's just more people are going to watch if it's going to be the Chiefs and the Eagles. But again, trying to fix my mic here. Again, I'd love to get your feedback. Let me know what you guys think. And I believe it's going to be a Chiefs-Eagles fixed Super Bowl. Love to get your feedback on this one. That is my prediction, and that is going to be your Super Bowl. Love to dive into it with you guys in the comments. Drop it below, all right? Have yourself an outstanding Saturday. Enjoy the games tomorrow. I'll be watching the refs closely, and you should too. We'll talk soon, guys. I'm out.